in reading the bid proposals, the information that's in the staff reports, which are online if anyone else would like to read them, I mean, they all look like they're addressing the issue of hours needed to do the job, which it's interesting because they vary quite a bit. I'm a lawnmower. Some of them I wondered how they were going to do that. But so it doesn't say anything in there about comparing 40-hour jobs against 40-hour jobs. I have to say, I think this is deeply disturbing because I think our comments up here could be construed as continuing what many of the speakers inferred tonight, that there was something underhanded about that. And I have to tell you, I'm having a really hard time listening to the cynicism that comes every council meeting in here. There are a handful of people who get up every city council meeting, some who don't even live in the city of Reading, pay taxes here, vote here, who harangue and insult the staff. And I think that there is a way to be critical without being rude and dismissive and jumping to conclusions about other people's morality. I also deeply resent the inference that some of you know better than I do about what I voted on in December. So if you have comments, please, that's what we do. I mean, we spend way more time at every meeting listening to comments. For those of you who are worried about participation in our community, you're all here. I would appreciate it greatly if you would speak for yourself. There are, as I've stated before, 90,000 people in this town. You do not speak for them. You speak for yourself. If you've got other people you're speaking on behalf of, bring the list. Tell us who you're speaking for. I think this is shocking that what we are discussing tonight is how on earth could the staff sneak around behind our backs, cut a deal with employees to be flexible, to accommodate the tough economic times we have in our community. How could our administrators be sneaking around our back, behind our back to save the city money? I mean, the audacity. And what we're criticizing is how they did it, the minutia. I mean, it's by many of the same people who come week after week and complain that we're not doing enough, that the employees aren't accommodating enough, that we should get rid of the unions because we all know what wasteful slugs they are. I mean, you know, I'm baffled. I'm baffled. I think you should pick a line and stick with it, but don't criticize every week, every single action anyone takes here trying to get through these tough, trying times. It would be much more helpful if we had more people here every week saying, you know what, we're going to have a fundraiser to keep the convention center open. We're going to get a volunteer group together to pick up weeds. We're going to, whatever. That's what we need to do right now. We need to come together in the city and figure out solutions to problems. Quit nitpicking each other to death.
Mr. Jones.
Well, I'm certainly not going to give a dissertation to the public on how they should respond to the council. The issue here is on December 7th, we gave clear direction to staff. And it wasn't that the outcome wasn't good. It was that we gave direction in a form of alternative number 1, 2, and 3, and something different than what happened, and the video is clear. And so it makes me pause, and it makes the public pause, I'm certain. That's why you heard that tone, Councilmember Sullivan, with some of the speakers tonight, because we did give clear direction, and something slightly different was done, which then leads people's minds to wander in other directions, that when we give direction on a particular item, that's the will of council. That's what staff does, carries out the will of council how we decide, because we are elected, we are the voice of the people. And so when that's carried out in a manner different than what we had expected, and for me seeing the side letter not by staff, not by an email, but by from someone else, and on this staff report was the first time that I saw the side letter, to me was that I didn't have enough information at that time. We get lots of emails. We read the emails, and we could have easily read a binding agreement with IBEW. I don't consider that minor. I consider it major, not moderate. The whole idea was to test the market. That's what we asked. It was fairly straightforward and simple, and I think that's what the sentiment here tonight from a lot of people is, that we're simply wanting that transparency. If, in fact, these 6 cost-saving measures, since we did not approve those, staff could have simply come back and said, rethink these at an appropriate time, which would have been a council meeting 1 or 2 later, not 6 months later, as today, once the side letter was seen. It's upsetting to me to see the side letter that I've never seen before, to me that had some implications in it, and some language in it with 90 days that was concerning to me that I certainly would have liked to have seen. So it wasn't that the final outcome wasn't appropriate, it was how we got there. It was that we gave clear direction, and the will of council was clear from the video. I remember the day very well because it was my last day as mayor, and it was the first day for then Mayor Missy MacArthur. And so I remember that, and I remember that particular topic pretty well. We wanted to test the market, simple, clearly, open, and transparent. And we need to be very aware that that's how the public is going to be viewing these things. When the public is made aware of some other issues, things that were bargained for, it makes the public very, very concerned. The issue of transparency is certainly going to be questioned, and that's what we heard tonight, and that's the tone that people took. And we have to accept that. You have the right, this is your building, you paid for it, you get to speak to us in the manner that you deem appropriate. And if you're upset or unhappy, that's your choice. And I think most people were respectful tonight. Tone was pretty tough, but that's your right. So I'm not going to reaffirm something that we didn't affirm in the first place. So we're not supportive.
I think Gary's waiting for the city council.
And I have 2 speakers, Mr. Greg Mann and Mr. Gary Cadd. And they seem to have disappeared. So, oh, there you are.
This is a shame. I come forward again because you have some labor negotiations going on in closed session, and so far this year, this council has seen fit to, when negotiations of contracts are open and money can be saved, they've come close to making a push. You take some from them and then give some back to them and give them a raise. And the police negotiations and the IBEW negotiations are going on, and I just hope that we're not coming back here in a month or 2 months or whenever you folks finish these negotiations up, that the due diligence is spent and we're taking care of the people. Especially like I've mentioned before, the police are just coming off a 23.75% increase over 5 years from 06 to March of 11. And I hope we're saving money. We've got a fire station to open. We've got 19 police officers to pick up. We're losing 3 more now, which makes it 21. So we're really having problems. And while I'm here, I'd like to talk about a section from the Brown Act. It's, let me read you a section 54954.3, and this is section C, and it says quite clearly, the legislative body of a local agency shall not prohibit public criticism of policies, procedures, programs, or services of the agency or the acts or omissions of the legislative body. Nothing in this subdivision shall confer any privilege or protection for expression beyond those provided by law, which means we have to treat you folks fairly, but we can get up here and make our comments. I'm sorry that Mrs. Sullivan left the room because I really was reading that for her benefit, but I'll probably do it again at the next meeting, at the start of the meeting. Thank you for this time.
Mr. Mann?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council, and I too am a bit chagrined that, oh, there she is. I'm kind of directing my comments with regards to labor negotiations and transparency, because you have two items, 12C and 12D, for labor negotiations on here. You're looking for transparency. I see the water getting more murky as it is, and Ms. Sullivan, it strikes me as uncharacteristic for you. I see you as a delightful lady, that you would address your constituency with, and this audience, with such contempt and condescension when we were talking in 9.1E. There, as Gary pointed out in the Brown Act, errors on the part of staff or on the part of council or whatever, we have, as citizens, a right to address those. And as long as we are acting respectively to you, we can talk to you about our concerns. Thank you.
With that, we will go to closed session.